It was very interesting to watch the people's reaction. They wondered, Swiss project? Why do they give us money? What for? Residents of small towns and villages make up a considerable part of Ukraine's population. Unfortunately, they have grown disaccustomed from responsible initiative, from efforts for a better and comfortable life. Communities don't rely on authorities, because authorities have worked too hard to ruin the last of the people's trust. The farm is short of water. They told us to dig wells. We have dug wells, but there is still no water. It cost each of us $1,000. There was no water at all. We dug this well together for 3 families. It gave water to the whole neighborhood. Then they stopped irrigation, and there was a drought. The well dried out. The artesian wells dried out too. Now we have no water supply at all. It is an obvious and deplorable fact that the administrative policy has little or nothing to do with the people's real needs: social security, medical care, employment, and education. In fact, the political reform that put administrative management on a totally partisan basis has unbalanced the entire system of government in Ukraine, both central and local. The mechanisms inherited from the excessively centralized system of decision-making have proven to be impracticable for communities' interests and needs. Trust can only be restored by concrete work, and this work should begin at the grassroots, because heating, sewage, water supply, disposal of garbage, and everything that makes life comfortable or hard concern local communities and depend personally on those who head them and on the members of local councils. Actually, there are lots of things that don't really cost much. Since independence in 1991, economic development in different parts of Ukraine has been uneven, with degradation of separate industrial and rural areas as one of the consequences. That is why decentralization is key to reforming the system of public governance in the country. In simple language, this means bringing the place of decision-making closer to the people, broader public involvement in decision-making, and more responsible decision-making. In particular, some of the decisions that are made by the central government should be made by local self-governments. A local council is much closer to people, but then, once you have made a decision, you are accountable for its execution. This is a very important thing. This project essentially consists in the construction of a water pipeline. This problem was very close to me and everybody else in this area. It was no good to have to fetch water in canisters from half a kilometer away. It was very, very hard. At first, to work on this project seemed uninteresting, dull. But now, it's all and everything to me. We have laid the pipeline, and now I feel quite content. I come home satisfied. The critically needed administrative reform in Ukraine, with decentralization of governance and more powers and opportunities for local self-governments, has not advanced any further than debates. It is always hard to start reforms, but the Ukrainian lawmakers have still been unable to begin with amendments to the constitution. As long as nothing changes de jure, the present system of local government is de facto falling apart. More than 80% of local communities in Ukraine live on subsidies. 90% of these depend on subsidies completely. This means they cannot even pay salaries to employees. The main component in the system of local self-government, I mean the local community, is like an engine out of water. So we need to start this reform as soon as possible. The first meeting took place in the hall of the village council. As to attendance, well, our community numbers about 300 people in 112 homesteads, and only 30 homesteads were present. They were unsure if the project would work. They had no trust. At the first meeting, they were told, let's just have a try. We have to make it on our own. We have no one to rely on but ourselves. If we don't come together and start doing something, no one will do it for us, and we will have to live and die with this problem. I am strongly convinced that it doesn't take any amendments to the Constitution to build capable local communities. All it takes is step-by-step efforts. The first step is to identify the most pressing problems that could be resolved without serious legislative changes, including amendments to the Constitution. At the national level, it is difficult to reach understanding with regard to decentralization, mainly due to different approaches. Decentralization is where the government of Switzerland is going to assist Ukraine in the next several years, and the key role in this process belongs to DESPRO, the Decentralization Assistance Project. In its frameworks, the decentralized model of public services will be integrated with a system of local government at various levels. Please don't leave our street out. Don't make life bad for us. How can it be that the well is bored on our street and we are left without water? I'll tell you one thing. There are lots of projects where we could have a hand. Decentralization is partnership based on trust. Local community projects show us how it works. A local community takes over certain authority, in this case, the water supply management. It sets up an organization responsible for managing the local water supply and rendering this service. The priority objective of DESPRO is to launch mechanisms of social mobilization for developing local communities' potential. DESPRO contributes in two important directions. It funds the selected projects and provides methodological support to local initiatives. We can see that the local community is already mobilized and aware of its ability to solve the problem. An old woman attends a community meeting where the work group accounts for what has been done and how the money has been spent. She asks, "Has the second tranche arrived from Switzerland?" You know, it's very interesting to hear that old women like her know what DESPRO is and the terms like decentralization or tranche. DESPRO experts have developed a training program for community activists and local officials in order to teach them to identify and categorize problems of their communities, draw up project applications, and learn how to set up a public organization. The neighborhood that is now involved in the DESPRO program has the biggest problems in the village. 14 streets had been without water supply for 15 or 17 years simply because of corroded pipes. First we take water from the artesian well and then let it settle in a canister. Then we filter it through a piece of cotton cloth and boil it. In the well, the water is like this, and when you filter it, you get a lot of lime, as you can see. Many didn't believe me, and I myself didn't believe in this project either. We didn't believe that it would work, that we'd get the money and start construction works. Now it's all different. Now everybody sees the result. The first section of the upper water conduit is already in operation. It's been more than a week since running water appeared in their homes. They are so happy, and they already believe in success. Capacity development of local communities and organizations is one of the priorities of DESPRO, considering the very low level of knowledge in social mobilization and project planning, which is often a serious deterring factor in project development, mobilization of resources, and in some cases, even in drawing up and submitting project applications. I'm a librarian by profession. This is my second term as a member of the village council. When Anna Petrovna, the head of our council, heard about this project, she just told me, "You are an elected representative of your street. The water pipeline on your street is so bad. Now go and write a project application. You'll make it." It was very difficult at first, because I'm a librarian without any technical education. Well, we drew up the project application and it was accepted. Now we are building a new water pipeline. Yes, this program has only been working for 1 year, but as many as 11 projects have been implemented in the first round that ends next year. We have great hopes for this program to work until a new reform finally and legislatively establishes relations between central authorities and local self-governments and makes the latter fully independent in managing local problems. What did you feel when you got running hot water in your home? I felt relieved. I felt like a woman. We dig and weed and do other work all day. Now I can just drop in and wash myself and dishes and everything. Then my daughter comes back from school and I tell her to wash the dishes. She used to hate to do the washing before because she had to heat water in a basin, wash dishes, then rinse them, then bring it all in and out again. We washed ourselves the same way, in a basin. Now she comes home from school and does the washing in no time. DESPRO supports efforts for public administration reform, regional policy and local self-government reform, administrative territorial reform, and training of community activists, the activities that constitute the National Decentralization Program. It is very good that the European community, with its great experience in democratic public management and in solving local community problems, lends Ukraine a helping hand. The main national partner of DESPRO is the Ministry of Regional Development and Construction. Whenever requested, DESPRO gives the ministry consultative, analytical and financial support in drafting conceptual documents on the development of the national regional policy and administrative territorial reform. At our request, the experts prepare a review of the problem that is important to us and needs additional resources, the way they do it in the West. One just can't invent the wheel out of thin air. We need to see how they do it in other countries. The Swiss experience is very valuable for us. The village of Cherepashyntsi can serve as a good example. Its residents have come together and understood that a community is a powerful thing, that together they can achieve a lot on their own, with their own resources. Of course, the DESPRO project has helped us a lot, and not just financially, though money is very important too. It has sort of organized us and made us friends. I think it's an example for others to follow. And it makes me happy to think that it's just the beginning, just the beginning.